This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, good morning everybody, and welcome to what can only be described as an epic but frustrating start to our day, because there you can see the white tail, tip of the tail of Thandi disappearing into an impenetrable thicket, and this is the third leopard that I've followed inside here that we are not going to be able to follow any further, which is, well, quite frustrating. So we're going to try and see what we can do. I'm pretty sure she's got a kill in here, and I'm pretty sure Tingana has stolen it. So we're going to try and see what happens. We followed Tingana here in the darkness of night, and he ended up in the same spot, and they've now just walked straight there after drinking, and their bellies are quite full. So I think they've got a kill somewhere here, but to get to them is going to be almost impossible. Anyway, my name is Tristan. On camera I've got Craig, and it is a very warm welcome to all of you, and hopefully you will be asking lots of questions and have lots of comments for us, and you can do all of that via the hashtag SafariLive. Right, now, yes, about this is going to be a tough ask to even get remotely close to these leopards. I'm going to try, I'm going to see what I can do and see if there is a way through down somewhere in all of this nonsense, but I'm very hesitant to guarantee that we're even going to get close to these leopards now. It's really a difficult spot that they've gone into, and it's a shame because Thandi and Kalamba have been so playful this morning. It's been such a joy to watch them. They've been chasing each other around, having lots of games. Kalamba almost killed a steenbok, which is quite amazing. She chased a steenbok, and she was probably, I would say, maybe 2 meters from the back end of that steenbok before she unfortunately got outrun and outpaced by the steenbok. So it's going to be, it would have been really cool. Imagine if we had seen her make a, that would have been quite nice, but alas, that hasn't happened, and so, you know, going to try and see if she does it sometime again. But it was quite opportunistic. She was just walking, playing with her mom, and Thandi spooked the steenbok, and Kalamba went flying after it, trying to chase it, and then Thandi tried to cut it off as well. It was quite cool, actually. They were almost like cooperatively hunting, which is very, very, very cool. Now, I'm hoping what's going to happen is that, because I can't cross here, so there's no way to cross over this drainage line from where we are now, but in saying that, if they are at the bottom here, maybe the kill is somewhere here. This is the last place we saw Tingana, and then Steve, who was on the drone this morning, told me that Tingana was resting not far from where I am right now. So I wonder if he's not where the kill is, and that's what I'm hoping, is that she's being very, very, very cute this morning. Now, I actually think I might be able to cross here. It's going to be a very, very bumpy cross that we're going to do, and it's probably going to... Wendy's not going to be that excited to do it, but I'm pretty sure that I can actually get across here, which will be good news. So while I try and do that, I'm going to send you across to David in the Masai Mara, who, well, he's been out and about early this morning, and he's found a rather large kitty of his own.
Very good morning and jumbo everyone, and welcome to our sunrise drive from the Masai Mara in the Mara Triangle. And it's a great morning that you have today, and as usual, my name is David, and filming with me today is Archie. Have I forgotten your name, Archie? Good morning. That's Archie there, and he's smiling so nicely today. He has some interesting news for us, and he'll tell us later. But what a good start to start with the lioness, a big lady there just slaying on the Tamad Mount. Please remember, this is a very interactive safari. We always welcome questions from you. As usual, hashtag SafariLive, and any comments you may have, please send them to us. We always get lots of joy when we interact with you directly on one-to-one. I'm not sure what she is picking up on such a nice morning of about 14 degrees Celsius, 57 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a cool morning. It's this one lady here, and she got another bigger lady like her, and 2 youngsters. From a distance, I've seen some toppies, and I highly doubt they might give a shot to those toppies. I highly doubt, but the youngsters are just behaving funny, youngsters being teenagers, and they're trying to run towards those toppies, not very close from where we are. We're not able to put it on the screen, but we would see 2 of the youngsters coming towards us, and once they get pretty close, Archie will be able to put them on the shot. This pride is the Olololo pride. It belongs to the Olololo pride. It's always a huge pride, but of the total pride of the Olololo, we got 4. 2 big lionesses and 1 youngster. I don't know what exactly they want to do, but they look hungry. If you look at that one girl there, She's getting some attention of something. And look at all the whiskers, how beautiful she is. Well done, Archie. It would be doing lioness, trying to ID them like how we do the leopards in South Africa. I think the chin spots would be very confusing here. It's not very ideal to identify, I think, lions using the chin spot like the leopards, because there's so many of them just below the nose on each side. Maybe use the whiskers, maybe. But lions we have used if they have any particular scars or any marks on their ears or anything that could be missing somewhere, or an eye could have an issue like the amber of the Nukuhuma pride in Juma. In East Africa and more so in Kenya, the females have been very difficult to identify. I'll say yes, because I would say the matriarch lioness, she is in charge of all the decisions, and the pride will always have to go with her where she goes. Just a similar example with elephants. When it comes to decisions of where to go or what to hunt, the female matriarch will make the most important decisions. And once she moves, everybody else moves. And more often than not, when they're laying an ambush or a strategy to go for a kill, they will be able, the chaser will be able, the female, the matriarch will be able to make the important decision. Sorry, good cars passing behind us, if you can hear any noise, but there are also nice people like us enjoying this kind of one lioness here. And I think this could be the matriarch in this particular pride. And again, as I said, the moment she decides to go in a particular direction, everybody else follows. And should they decide to lay an ambush, they lead. All right, let's very quickly go to a spotted cat in South Africa.
Well, as you can see there, so that's Tingana right there. I was saying I lost him in this thicket, so there he is right now. And then Tanya and Kalamba have just disappeared down a drainage. He's watching them where they're going. Now, I'm crossed one drainage, but I highly doubt I'm going to cross this next one. Now, he's going to come and investigate. Hang on, who is this? Tanya and Kalamba haven't seen him at all, so he's coming in to now see. But isn't this insane? We've got not just one leopard, but 3 of them to start our morning. Is this just not ridiculous in every single way, and how every morning should start, in my opinion? To be honest, this is very cool. Now, I want to just go to where Tingana is, because Tanya and Kalamba just went over the hill right here. So I want to get to the point where I'm not between any of them, but still be able to watch what's going on from quite high ground, because I think he's going down, and I'm pretty sure they have a kill somewhere here. There's no coincidence that these leopards are all in the same place. Look, he's talking now, so I wonder if little Kalamba has now seen him, because she's normally quite boisterous with Dad, and she gets in here and kind of gets in his face quite quickly. So just going to come around. Yes, look. Oh, look at this. Look at that. That's amazing. So Tundi has just walked up. She's just talking to him. Look, they're sniffing. Look. How cool is this? Right, now we're going to take this onto other platforms. I'm just going to keep quiet for a little bit. She's just calling the cub as well. Well, good morning everybody, and welcome to South Africa, and a very special scene that we are witnessing unfolding. As you can see, we have 2 leopards sitting side by side, a big male leopard on the left and a female leopard that is on the right hand side. Now, that's not the only leopards that are here. We also have a small cub that hopefully is going to appear fairly shortly. Mom is calling her, and so we should see a reunion of the family. They've just come together. The male was doing his thing and kind of scent marking and territorial patrol, and then the female has kind of come. There comes the cub now. You see the cub? Look, there it is. 3 leopards in one frame, guys. That is absolutely insane. We are being very, very spoilt by all of this. This is absolutely cool. Now, my name is Tristan. I forgot to mention that my name is Tristan and camera is Craig, and we are coming to you live from South Africa, which means that you can ask any questions, or if you have any comments, you can send them through. Now, look at the cub. This is amazing how tolerant this male is. Now, leopards, males are not known for their family unity in any way, and generally what you'll find is that male leopards don't play any part in fathering of cubs other than to patrol a territory and to make sure that they scent mark and provide a safe haven for the cub to grow up under the mother's care. But this particular male doesn't seem to mind his cubs all that often. Now, you can see, look how close they are. Generally, you wouldn't see this at all, and the little cub wants to talk to him. He is so tolerant for a leopard. Don't see this every day. This is a very special sighting that we are witnessing. How unbelievable is that? This is so cool. And you can see how much bigger he is. Now, she's about a 10-month-old leopard, and he's about 12 years old. And our social dynamic with our leopards at the moment is just unbelievable. We've got a young male leopard who's related to all three of these, who's kind of come in, and we keep getting these interactions between not only these three but that young male as well, and they all seem to tolerate each other, which is very interesting. Now, obviously this male knows that this is his cub and has come across her before, and so that's why he's not being aggressive to her, but it's just amazing how close he allows the little cub to get. Generally, like I say, male leopards are fairly unrelaxed about having cubs close by, and so to see these two as close as they are now and sitting face to face is a very special thing. So, Lou, yes, there are many leopards in the area that we know of. We're very lucky that we're in probably the leopard hotspot of the world. In fact, it's probably got one of the highest densities in the world. Look at this, they're playing together. He's not happy that she wants to play, but she wants to just kind of cuddle up to him and rub up against him like she does her mom, but he's not having any of it. Very cute. Now, so I was saying we're in a leopard-dense area, so there's a lot of leopards here that we know. These three are three of our main leopards, so it's mom and cub and dominant male, who is the father, and then there's the young male I was talking about, and then there's a variety of other leopards that are around that. But these are the kind of three that are the central part of our area, and definitely the individuals we see, probably the most alongside that young male. But you see now, he's just watching. The little cub and mom are going down. I think they have a kill somewhere close by. They, like I was saying earlier, have just drunk water, and they've come from water straight here. And this male is very good at smelling out kills. And so I wonder if he hasn't picked up the scent, and that's why he's been sitting here, because they went for water and they came all the way back, and we followed him here early this morning and lost him in this area. And so they've all come together now, and I'm pretty sure it's because there might be some food around for him to have. Now, Jeremiah, you say he does not look impressed. Well, he's not too bad. I mean, he's generally got quite a sort of stern look about him on the best of days. It's sometimes dopey, but for the most part, he's got quite a strong stare on him. And he's probably just looking around, just checking what's going on and just making sure that everything's okay. And he's just looking, making sure that there isn't anything following these leopards. It might, often when a female leopard comes into contact with a male, sometimes it can be if she's in estrus, could be another male around. So now he's just going to sniff, and you'll see he's going to lift his head and curl his lips back, and that's going to be what's called a phlegm grimace. And that phlegm grimace is basically his way of scenting this female and finding out what she is she in estrus, and who she is. So there you go. You see, look how he's lifted his face. That's difficult now because he's facing away from us, but his mouth was open, and he uses an organ in the roof of his mouth to analyze her chemical scent. Dr. Rob, you said it's the most fascinating sighting we've had in a while. Well, I beg to differ in that we've had many insane sightings in the last 3 weeks involving our leopard family. So we've had Hosanna and Thandi and Kalamba together. Hosanna stealing a kill, Thandi stealing a kill from Hosanna. We've had this particular male involved in a whole bunch of sightings. We've had the young male and him together. So it's just been a leopard fiesta of late, and some amazing behavior that we've been managing to witness. And it's showing that leopards are a lot more social than what people think. People always think that a leopard is solitary, particularly the males, that they try and avoid any sort of contact with cubs and females if they can help it. But that's not necessarily true. He actually will spend quite a lot of time around and near his cub and come across them quite regularly. And it's important that he knows he's got a cub in the area, because that's going to drive him to scent mark and to protect his lineage and to make sure that he keeps it as the dominant male in this area. So they are actually quite social, and you can see his behavior with the cub is he's not aggressive towards her. He growls at her when she gets a little close, but otherwise he doesn't mind her too much at all, which is pretty insane. Now, the other two, I have seen them just disappear over the other side. They've gone into the thickets, and so I'm not sure where they're off to. Now, sorry, Em, if you can just repeat that. I got the name, but I didn't get the question. So dash, not necessarily, no. Generally what you find with female leopards is that they have their cubs, and they will obviously be around, and particularly when the cub is born, they're pretty stationary in the same area. They'll have a den site, and normally because the male is a patrolling animal, he'll come across their scent and follow it in and seek out what's going on, and then introduce themselves to the cub. Now the female would be very hesitant to let the tiny little cub go near a male. Once they get a little bit older and can fend for themselves a little bit, then they're not so kind of phased. Now he doesn't seem like he's going to follow too much because the little cub has come back. Now that's pretty cool. Mom is far away. Mom is on the other side. I saw her just now. I'm hoping she comes back. Listen. Look at that. She's sniffing his tail. This is insane. What a start to our day. Our little leopard family is very special. Now I say family because it's just the, you know, kind of the male and the female. They don't obviously spend all their time together, which is pretty insane. Now you hear that sound that they're making, especially the little cub there, that little that's basically what's called a chuff. Now a chuff is something that a leopard will do to its cub, or the cub to mom, or when they interact with one another. It's basically a non-threatening talking to one another. A saw or a growl, which a saw is what the male will do when he's trying to vocalize and establish a territory, or growling is more aggressive tones. These little chuffs are just there to tell him, I'm not a threat, who are you, talking, just to kind of get an idea of who everybody is. But how special that she's walked off, and it just shows you how comfortable her mom is in comparison. You know, you would think she would be very close to the cub, but she's not. She's actually going to come back now, which is pretty cool. Listen to mom and daughter talking now. That's amazing. So while he doesn't mind her being close, he doesn't want her too close. So he's got a personal space where he's happy for her to come towards, but not too close. He doesn't want her to touch him. So that's pretty typical of a male. The female obviously would allow the cub to come in and rub up against him, and I mean against her, and wouldn't worry too much. But with him, he's got a little bubble that he doesn't like. Now I'm just going to quickly move slightly because of these thickets and sticks that are in the way for poor Craig, and try and just get him into a little bit of a better position so that he doesn't have to worry about that. Craig, is that better? Now I saw the female, she was coming up this way again, so I'm sure she'll make an appearance shortly. Carol, the male leopard probably in all likelihood wouldn't contact a call to a cub. I mean, he might do a bit of chuffing just to say, I can see you. And especially if he sees it's a cub, generally he knows it's a non-threatening leopard and will be all right if it's one that he recognizes. If it's a cub that he doesn't know, well, then he will kill it to bring the female, that's the mother of that cub, back into estrus in order to mate with her for himself. A tenure of a male leopard as a dominant individual is very, very short. They don't have a long period that they're dominant, although this male has had quite some time in this area. Generally, there's not that long, and so they try and make sure that they produce as many cubs with as many females as possible. And if they come into an area and there's a female that's already got a cub, him patrolling and scent marking is utilizing his energy to protect the bloodline of another male leopard, which for him is not really going to work. And so he's going to try his very best to be able to get that female back into estrus, so his genes are passing forward rather than the other males. Now the little cub has run down there, chased mom. I just saw her bounding along into this thicket and kind of moving along there somewhere. So I don't know where mom is in relation to where the cub is, but I'm pretty sure they'll come back again. Generally when there's these kind of leopard interactions, they'll sit around each other for a while, kind of figure everything out, and then they'll decide to move on. And unless mom has obviously got somewhere where she wants to be, then she'll call the cub and go. But she doesn't seem too perturbed by this interaction, which is part of the amazing thing about it, is that she's just literally left the cub and walked off, and is not concerned to leave the cub with the big male. She knows that he is the male that has mated with her. She's come across this male with the cub before, and therefore she knows that he's not going to kill her. If this was a different male, you would have seen a very different behavior take place. You would have seen her being very aggressive. She would have come in with claws and teeth just trying to block that male from the cub and try and allow that cub an opportunity to get away and move out of the area. So very, very special that they're not like that, and that we've actually seen all three together to start with. Amazing. Right, well, that was very, very special. It looks like the female and the little one have moved off now. They're starting to head off down the drainage line and away from us, and so I don't think that they're really too interested in coming back as yet. So we're going to carry on with our morning. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us. Hope that you enjoyed it, and remember that we will carry on, and if anything else does happen, we will go live again. But until next time, I'll see you all soon. Well, isn't this just the most ridiculous sighting ever? I mean, not ever. We've had so many lately that it's difficult to kind of keep count. But Tingana's tolerance of cubs is phenomenal in my mind. We've seen him with Shadow and Not Barbara last year around this time. Now with Tanya and Tlulamba a few times in the last few weeks, and he's been super tolerant. But this is the closest I've ever seen a cub get to a male leopard with... I mean, that's amazing. She literally was sniffing his tail and kind of going nose to nose with each other. And even Tundi, I mean, Tundi walked up and they almost sort of rubbed heads like you'd see from lions. It's pretty weird behavior, but it's, I suppose, something that we need to just realize is that our little leopard family is about as social as one could ever want from a leopard group. They really are an unbelievable kind of dynamic at the moment, and how fortunate are we to be able to watch this playing out and have such regular sort of updates on what's going on over the course of the last few weeks. It's been amazing. It's almost like Hosana was the catalyst to bring everybody around together, and to see as many kind of interactions as we have has been pretty special. Now, he was also around last night, so there were 4 different leopards that were at the pan, and we're just on the northern side of the camp at the moment. We're close to Gallego Pan, actually, so maybe he'll arrive too, which would be quite something. Right, well, while we figure out where Tandi and Tlulamba have gone and see what Tingana gets up to, let's send you back across to Steve, who's with a rather large pachyderm.
Good morning, everybody. How fantastic is that? I can't wait to go back and see the footage there of little Tlulamba chuffing at her dad. How incredible. Indeed, we are with a small group of elephants, 4 male elephants, in fact. Good morning, everybody. My name is Steve. I'm joined by Ferg on camera. We are out. He's enjoying himself a cup of coffee while we were waiting for you to come and say hello. Hello, good morning. 4 big, beautiful elephant bulls are busy feeding here in the open, slowly mobile towards the west. We heard some lions calling about 45 minutes ago, so we came towards the west to see if maybe they were within our boundaries, but it seems as if, well, we're still checking, but it seems as if they might have been a bit more west than we might have thought. It's incredible how far the call of a lion can actually go. Potentially the Unkuhumas from last night, but as we watch those elephants, let me just move forward another meter or two. I'll be able to see their bottoms disappearing into the guarri thickets. There's one decent sized bull amongst them, and he's got his little askari of boys with him. There he is. He's the one on the left there, the big guy on the left. He's got a few younger ones that are learning the ropes, learning the elephant etiquette, exactly how it is to behave out in the wilderness. It's a hard business hanging out with the breeding herds, because there's all sorts of activity that goes on with them that the bulls really aren't that interested in. And so it's good for them to learn from a bigger bull, to see how slow life can be, and to spend time walking around learning the routes and the behavior and how exactly it is to behave like a big elephant bull. Well, anyway, we are going to be going all the way up to the Masai Mara to my good friend Scotty Dyson, who seems to have found for all of you some vultures this morning.
Hello everybody and welcome on board. As you can see, we've got some scavengers here, vultures and hyenas. And it looks like the vultures are kind of waiting to have a snack once the hyenas are finished. 1 or 2 of those hyenas had quite a lot of blood on their face, and it looks like they could be feeding on a carcass there. My name is Scott, and I'm teamed up with the legend James Kaimoe Muredi. Very good. We've been searching for the sausage tree pride. They were last seen kind of in this general area, and I was hoping when we kind of came across these vultures and hyena that they were waiting for the sausage tree pride to finish off a kill before they swoop in. But it looks like if that was the case, the lions have already left. But we must remember that it's not always a hyena that steals from lions. Sometimes it's the other way around. And who knows, maybe these hyena caught whatever it is they're nibbling on themselves. They can be incredibly formidable hunters. And now that it is the migration bounty, most of the carnivores are cashing in. Sounds like you guys had a great time with the 3 leopards down on Djuma. That sounded very exciting. I must say I'm quite missing leopards. But we have been spoilt with some incredible lion and cheetah interactions here over the last few months. But I must say it would be nice to go back to Djuma and have a peruse around there. It's my favorite time of the year to be in Djuma, the drier months. I'm not too sure what it is they're snacking on. I don't want to go too much closer because we run the risk of then chasing the vultures and even possibly these hyenas away. We're in an area where a lot of the animals aren't subject to as many vehicles as normal, and therefore they can be a little bit nervous. Carol, you would like to know why are the hyena not chasing the vultures away? There's not too many vultures at the moment, and sometimes in a situation like this, predators will be kind of content with the presence of vultures, provided they don't cause too much trouble. It's usually the cats, I guess, cheetah, lion and leopard, that try and chase vultures away as soon as they start coming down, because those predators know that it could lure in hyenas when they see the vultures coming down. But it's not uncommon to have vultures kind of perched off nearby to a kill, waiting patiently. The other thing, Carol, is there may be a bit of a compressed shot here, so it may look like the vultures are far closer to the hyena than they actually are, just the way we've kind of lined up the shot. When hyena or any animals stop and listen like this, I always wonder what it is they heard. I did hear a zebra yodeling, something like that. Wasn't my best rendition, and that's what got them to prick their ears up, I think. But I always wonder if they're not hearing something that our relatively poor hearing can't pick up. Alrighty, well, I think we're going to keep on moving. We are hoping on trying to spend as much time with the sausage tree pride as possible this week, and hopefully we'll get some intel on them. Jeez, I don't know when last we actually saw them, but we'll keep trying, and you'll be glad to know you can hop straight onto David's vehicle, who has already found some lions.
I'm sure Scott will be able to get the sausage tree pride. It has been one pride, I would say, characters we've been following the last couple of months, and I still got the Olololos here. Initially we had that one lady you see in the middle there, and then the 2 youngsters have come to join her. She moved from the termite mound that she was on, and she came and laid by the road. And either she didn't sleep very well last night, or they were busy doing something. You can tell she's very sleepy. So the other female, we haven't been able to locate it as yet, but I'm sure it's someone laying on the grass. So it's 2 females and 2 youngsters here. And if you look on the youngster on the left, it looks rather dark than the one on the right. And looking carefully on the neck area, you can see there's a bit of fur or some short mane coming out, which would indicate he is definitely a boy. And I'm trying to guess the other one laying flat is a female, but if you look at both of them, they've got 2 different totally colors. That one laying behind there looking much lighter, especially on the abdomen side, just like the female. That would not necessarily automatically say she is a female, but chances are, to me, she looks like a female. Of course, you've got males that also look light like that, but out of my many years in the bush, the males tend to be slightly bit darker than the females in general, and especially as they age. So this, again, as I said, it's the all pride. Remember, we are always very happy if you ask us questions. #SafariLive. Comments, anything you'd like to know, just bring it over and we'll be happy to share with you. We'll move on now because these lions, what they're doing is just laying down. Archie, what do you think? Do you think they're going to wake up? They look, yeah, the female seems to have opened her eyes. And as I said earlier, there were toppies earlier, but I do not know whether they had plans to go for them. But in the meantime, I think Talamba could be on the move with Tristan.
She is on the move. She's torn between being with mom and being with dad at the moment. She keeps going from Tundi to Tingana, who's sleeping now and is as tired as anyone can be in the bottom of the drainage line. So that's where he is kind of having a big fat sleep inside there. You can see his little tummy spots. And then Tundi's on our right hand side. And so Tlalamba's going from her to him, to her, to him, to her, to him. And it's like a little yo-yo that she's at the moment. And it's so interesting. She went down just now, and it's the closest I've ever seen her get to him. She literally had her head on his tail area. So where his tail kind of joins his body, that's where her head was actually sitting on top of his back almost at one point. And he wasn't too bad. He was let out a little growl, but he was actually quite fine. You can see, look, she's chuffing. Look at that. Mom and daughter having a bit of playtime. What a special, special way to start the day. Early morning, a golden winter light, 3 leopards. Interaction between a male, female and cub is, well, about as good as you could ever ask for. We really are spoilt that we get to see the sightings that we get to see at the moment, and it is the best time of the year for these kind of things. Because of the restrictions in water in the area, it means that animals kind of get into one place, and so you often get a bit of interaction like we're seeing. Sarah, does she know it's her dad? Don't know. She knows it's not a threat, and the way that Tundi's reacting will reaffirm to her that she doesn't have to be stressed about him. So she knows that, much like Hosanna, that they're not really too big a threat, and there they go bounding off again. It's all playtime with these two. Right, let's catch up with them because Tingana is fast asleep. He's not moving at all at the moment. He's deciding, well, he's done enough this morning. He's done his fatherly duty and has already said hello to the little one. And now it's time for him to have a nap. I'm still convinced that there's food here somewhere, and that Tundi's just playing it very cool and is not trying to head towards that food at all, in order to try and kind of keep it away from Tingana, because we know that he will eat it. I think he's going to sleep there for most of the day. He was a busy boy last night, lots and lots of talking, and so I think he's going to try and stay that side. Tundi's probably going to try and somehow, oh no, look at little Tlalamba in the tree. She's in the smallest tree possible, and Tundi's jumping up. The whole tree is bending. And what are you doing? Now let's see if Tundi's going to go up as well. You can see, look, Tundi's trying to jump and grab her tail. You see that? How cute is that? Tundi's obviously in a very good mood this morning, because don't see her being that playful all that often with her cub. She does do it from time to time, but generally her patience runs quite thin pretty quickly. But this morning seems as though she's quite happy to entertain and to play with the little one. And you can see, it's just, why are you up that tree? The poor tree is going to buckle and bend under her weight, unfortunately. She's getting big now. Carol, probably, in some ways, you often find when leopards are teaching their little ones to hunt and kill, is that they'll actually catch the animal, and then they keep it alive, and they call the cub, and the cub comes running in, and they basically let the little prey animal go. And they allow the cub to then try and kind of catch it and kill it, and if the prey gets too far, then mom intervenes, and that's how they teach it. So I suppose, yes, they do help, but sometimes you'll find with these cubs that they're instinctual, and they'll just grab something and kill it on their own accord. So it takes a long time for them to kill things, though, because they're so playful when they first kind of learn how to hunt, that they end up often not really killing things too quickly, and it makes a lot of noise, and slowly but surely they learn after being robbed a few times by other animals like hyenas. Then they start to learn how they need to be a little bit more kind of deft at keeping their prey quiet when they kill it. Now, I'm just trying to see how I'm going to get to where these two are. Where's Tundi gone? I didn't see her. She looks like she might be in front. Okay, let's go here. Oopsie. I think our high lift jack just fell off, which is not good news. So I'm going to have to try and actually sort that out before it falls off completely and before we damage the car and it. Alright, so Tandy and Tlalamba are moving off, and so while we kind of figure out how I'm going to do the jack, how I'm going to keep an eye on these leopards, let's send you across to David, who, well, still in the Mara, and I wonder if he's had any signs of the lions once again.
Well, Tristan, I know you are very good with leopards. Make sure you keep them close, keep us entertained on that queen and that princess of Juma. That would be very kind of you. We have decided to leave our lions, the bed flat, not doing much, and we move on. As I said earlier, that is the Olololo pride, and there's always like 14, 15 of them, huge pride. So those who are 4, what we want to try and do now with Archie is to go and look for the other 10 and find out where they are. We know the general area. They'll be hanging in all this area you see here. I want Archie to pan out and show us this beauty here as much as the sunrise is already up. But we got some nice beams of light coming down in the background there and some clouds. And who would not love to be in Africa at any one point, be it in Juma or in the Mara Triangle? And look at that beauty. And this is what makes the Mara Triangle very, very special. And those clouds have been building the last 3-4 days. And we think we might be getting some showers, if not today, tomorrow. And in the foreground of that forest that you see there, that's the area the marshbird would be. So trying to imagine the 4 we have seen there, I'm imagining the other 10 are not very far, or 11 from here. So that's the direction I want to head into, because the marsh area I'm talking about, it's very popular with the herbivores. And after, of course, they do a lot of grazing, especially the zebras or toppies or the hartebeest, they'll always go to that marsh area for a drink. The marsh area is an area that has water from the underground, like natural springs, and all around the year it does not dry. So the animals, time immemorial, have known in that area they'll always get some water to drink. And of course, the predators know, you know, hang around there, wait for the herbivores to come have a drink, and then definitely they will chance. So that's the area we want to go. And possibly also today I'm thinking of locating the Triangle boys. There are 2 particular ones that tend to be together. The Triangle boys consist of 4. Sometimes we call them the musketeers, the 4 of them. And sorry, I missed that question from Richard as I'm looking for the boys. Bring that question again from Richard. How are the animals? I'm so sorry, it's very windy here. Something about animals affected to the crew? I hope I got now the question from Richard. And how are the animals not dangerous to us or the crew? I hope that's the question. And if that's the question, we're always very careful. We have lived with these animals for so many years. We have understood the animals. We know their behavior. And anytime there is a concern of the animals being dangerous to us, we know what to do. There are points that we call the trigger points, and you can read the behavior of an animal. And the moment you realize the animal is not very comfortable with you, you just back up. It becomes very uncomfortable with you. If you're still there, you just leave it alone and you go away. We haven't had cases where there have been a conflict between, especially with the guides or camera operators in the bush, because we have lived these animals for so many years. But for example, in the village I come from, there are always incidents once in a while be it hippos or buffaloes with the local villagers. Maybe they have not been able to learn or understand the behavior of animals. And for example, when the ladies are going to fetch water, or us, when we go to fetch water in the rivers, and we bump into hippos when they're either going back to the water or coming out, we have had cases of human and wildlife conflict. But for we people who live here in the Mara or in, say, Juma in the Kruger National Park, we have always learned our ropes and we do it very, very correctly. All right. Bit windy now. Wind seems to be picking up. And let's find out whether Steve what he is searching for now.
Well, thank you, David. And he talks about such relevant stuff there, being able to read animals and how they are responding, because animals' intentions are very, very obvious. The only species in the world that is sneaky is us, you know. For example, like my brother when I was younger would hide behind the corner and then jump out and get me, or pretend to do something and then do something else. Animals don't do that. Animals show you their intention. Exactly. Ferg just did something to my head there. I knew he was going to. So animals, their intention is obvious. So when you see a lion, and I've had this many times, I had it the other day, just before, I think, Seb and I were out on drive. We had the two Nkuhuma females in the rain the other afternoon, and the one young lioness came up to the one vehicle that was there and started like stalking. And you have a look, and the lady's actually got her leg outside of the car. So the lion can see there's something here, there's a person here, and it actually almost wants to have a go. So if you ever see it, oh, here we go, here's a zebra. Talking about animals that like to show body language. Standing side on to us, showing us how big it is. Hello. So I've had it many times in the past where a lion sort of goes down and sort of starts showing a change in behavior. Guaranteed look behind you and one of your guests is standing up or has legs hanging off the vehicle or something like that. Animals are not sneaky. Their intention is very obvious. You can see how he looked at us there. Now his head is down. The intention is now to feed. So we're the only ones that are sneaky. We'll do something against the sort of shown behavior. We see it all the time. When we see impala looking at something or kudu looking at something, we know there must be something there. We see leopards or something doing whatever the behavior might be. We can see the intention. It's nice to be able to read that. It's one of the things that I put a lot of effort into my training was videos and photographs of animals doing things and expecting the students to know, what is this animal doing? Because if you can understand that, then you can avoid the animal sort of doing something that you're not prepared for. Richard, do you think animals are unpredictable? I don't think they're unpredictable. They don't just do something. A lion doesn't just do something. It responds to a cue. Its behavior then changes, and then then you see the change. I don't think animals just walk up sneakily and then jump at you, for example. Their interaction or their behavior is very, very evident of what is about to happen all the time, my opinion, anyway. Obviously, you're not sure sometimes what animals are going to do in a situation when it comes to a reaction, but you can see that they're going to react in a way. But what the reaction might be, you know, we see the Nkuhumas when they start stalking each other, the reaction or the behavior that they're doing shows, ooh, they're going to do something, what is it? And next thing, they jump up and stalk each other. So these are things that learning from animal behavior, very, very important. So you can preempt what the animals are going to do. And people always think you're very, very smart. Romit, I'm sure there must be. I'm not sure offhand at the moment what research projects are going. I know that a friend of mine, when I was doing my master's, was doing a study on the Cape Mountain zebra down in the Cape, at Cape Mountain Zebra National Park, and they were looking at all sorts of things, specifically the diet. Cape Mountain zebra is regarded as pretty rare these days. There's not too many of them around, kind of restricted to areas down in the Cape. Most of the Cape in the south of South Africa has been converted to agriculture, so there's not too many conservation areas left. So the conservation of those animals, she was paying a lot of attention to their diet, and basically she would watch them like we're doing now, and then go and have a look at exactly what they were feeding on, the grass species, and then doing all sorts of transects and figuring out what exactly is fulfilling the diet of the zebra so that they can manage the area in a better way so as to increase those numbers and maybe even implement it in other areas that conservation is taking over so that Cape Mountain zebra can do better. But up here, I don't know what zebra projects are going. But in the Greater Kruger National Park, the Kruger National Park is the largest research institution in the world. I'm sure there must be something going on with the zebra, but at the moment I'm not sure if there's anything. Absolutely beautiful. So you can see when we talk about behavior, they are very relaxed. Very, very relaxed. And when we talk about animal behavior, there's no better animals to watch than Thandi and Kalamba.
Indeed, they are very, very cool to watch and to spend time with and see how they go about things. You can see little Kalamba is just in front of us and on this little mound where she's hidden, and Thandi's busy coasting along the drainage in the background. But it's getting, well, difficult is probably the word I would put it, to be able to follow them in here. We've so far gone through fairly easy terrain, but it's really not easy at all. It's a difficult area because you've got these kind of drainage lines that run in all directions, and so you end up kind of crisscrossing them. Now, if you're a leopard, it's pretty easy, or if you're on foot, it's pretty quick and painless, but in a Land Rover, not so much. So hopefully Thandi will just keep kind of walking more on the side we are, because crossing there will be very, very, very difficult and quite perilous. I'm still convinced they have a kill somewhere. It's just that they're trying to kind of throw Tingana off a little bit and move around. Now, I'm not sure if my comms are working. We're having a nightmare of a morning because we've had our high lift jack fall off. Our comms have been an issue. Been tough, to be honest. Kalina, I'm not sure. I mean, we've seen Hosanna with Thandi and Kalamba at the pan when they've been drinking, and there hasn't been too many issues, so I don't really know, actually. I think she would be alright. I mean, I'm not sure. Now, there's a thorn tree, Craig, so just be careful. I've got to try and figure out how I'm going to get out of here now. It's such a horrible area that she's walking in. Deep, deep gullies and horrible thorn thickets. It's not a pleasant place to be trying to follow a leopard, that's for sure. But let's try. Let's see what we can do. Otherwise, we'll just go back to Tingana, who's having a big nap. Well, the last time we left him, he doesn't seem to be following us. I didn't see him behind us, and while we were fixing the high lift jack, we didn't see any sign of him. Now, where did little Kalamba go? The last time I saw Kalamba was on that termite mound. Well, there's an aardvark hole. Sorry, Craig. Now, this is going to be an interesting one to try and get out of. There we go. So, there's a bit of dust and dirt. We're going to try and squeeze around through. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to follow them, but while we try dirt, let's send you back across to David, who is still out and about in the Mara and is now following the largest bird that we get in that area.
Good luck, Tristan. I know you can maneuver and locate them again. We got ostriches here, and today I'm lucky because I got two females. I've been out in the field like every other day and have seen a male or two males, but today I have seen two females, and I think this is very exciting. But to the very far left, I'm not sure how far the male is Archie, but there was a male somewhere. Yes, well done, having them all in one frame, and that's the male to the left. And most birds have very clear sexual dimorphism, as much as I'm sure they're quite a distance from, from the screen there, but you can see the male is black and white. And yeah, very good, Archie. Well done. You can see those feathers are very different, as much as the tail feathers look a little bit dirty than the ones on the wings. It's black and white for the male, and the females to the right, the two girls there, are greyish brown in color. And this particular species of ostrich is what we call the Maasai ostrich. In Kenya, we've got two species. We've got the Maasai ostrich and the Somali ostrich. Very majestic when they walk. And I got a feeling when mating starts, he'll always pick one of those two girls. Robin, how are you? And that's a great comment. It's your first time to see an ostrich, and I'm happy for you. Hopefully you'll enjoy them, and please keep following us, and you'll be able to show you more of these birds. And Robin, I'm not sure you saw the male I had the other day. That one, or definitely doesn't have to be the same, could be a different one. But today I have females. Carol, ostriches in general don't have as many enemies. But Carol, look at the size of those birds there. Number one, for defense, they are very fast. They would comfortably do 60 miles an hour. So that is like a small car on the race. And Carol, once they get cornered and they feel now they have to do something different to defend themselves, if you look on those legs, especially the drumsticks, as much as now it's quite a distance, they kick very hard, Carol. Those birds, even for human beings, they kick very hard. I've seen them kick lions, and lions at one point will always think twice before they can get close to them. And when very cornered, they have another, last option they use. If you look on their beaks, they can, well, for the distance, but they can poke an eye of, say, a hyena or a lion using their beaks. So 3 things they do. Number 1, speed. They're very fast. You see them flying low. 2, they kick very hard, and they can always use their beaks, if need be, like to poke the eyes, and they know exactly what to do. So I would say they don't have as many enemies. And what I just showed you there, those are the Maasai ostriches, and I was talking of 2 species of ostriches in Kenya, the Maasai ostrich and another species that's called the Somali ostrich. And I'm sure Archie will be delighted to show you what a Somali ostrich looks like. Tell me, Archie, whether I'm doing well. Even as you enjoy seeing the Somali ostrich there, that you see is a little different from the Maasai ostrich. And if you look carefully, the legs here and there, they're always a bit bluish or greyish. Well done, Archie. Not like the Maasai ostrich, the male, which will be pink in color, but also the black there and the white there. It's very iridescent. It's quite bright black, bright white, unlike the Maasai ostrich. It's very iridescent when you see them out there in the field. And they're basically in that particular area north of Kenya towards Somalia, which is here. Not sure that's why they're called the Somali ostrich. And we'll get the Maasai ostriches from where we are or south of the equator. Now, just come back to your question, Evan. It's because if you get one female that doesn't mate with a male, she just hangs around. But initially you get the females competing for the male, and what they do a courting dance, and you'll always see them, just like what do you call, Archie, those dances? Are they sombrero dancers or a cappella? Anyway, you'll always see them having their wings up, heavy like this, up and down, and then going like this. And I think the male will always sit. As much as the male is involved in the courtship dance or the mating dance, he'll always be able to choose which one. So if he picks one to mate with, then the rest just hangs around and they stays in the flock. I want to back up a little bit. I'm seeing some ellis there. See what direction they're coming up. Are you going to come back? Look safe for me. Okay. See some ellis coming, like a lady and her 2 youngsters. Let me see whether Archie can put them on the frame for us. We haven't seen elephant this morning. Keep coming, Archie. Tell me when to stop. Is that good? All right. It's not very close, but I'm sure Archie should be able to get them for us. Looks like a lady there, either the sister or a cousin. And there's one young one there. Not sure she's nothing or she's just eating there. Can't see very well from where I am. And looking at the forehead on that particular one, she got lots of mud on the head. I'm sure yesterday, the day before, She was doing some mud bath and trying to cool off. So it's all dry now. Small little baby following very closely there. You'll always see Ellie's in a social structure of either two sisters with their youngsters or 2-3 related females with their young ones. And my guess is the big one you see there could be the matriarch of the lead female in this herd here. Michael, the older bulls sometimes will always have issues with the young ones, but the only concern is during mating, and when the youngsters or the young bulls will start showing signs of mating, the big bulls or the old ones are always not very happy. And we have seen little fights on conflicts between the old bulls and the young ones, because the old ones want just to keep the genes going, and they end up getting the youngsters or the young bulls out forming their own herd, so that they make sure they do not mate with the females. Occasionally, Michael, we have seen females, especially the lead female, once the youngsters, the boys, are getting to 9, 10, 11 years, you get the matriarch showing them the door, and that helps to avoid inbreeding. We have seen them, being youngsters or teenage, you see them trying to mate with their cousins. But the matriarch or the lead female will make sure that does not happen, and she will show them the door to go, tell them to go live their lives and get their own wives from different families or different genes, and not to mate with related elephants. Two youngsters here, you can tell that one has pretty short tusks. Actually, where did the very small one go? We had one that was very tiny, tiny, tiny. Yes, that one there was trying to nurse. Shansan, what you can see from here, to me, yes, that is mud. And what has happened, this mud has dried up. And what will happen, it will start peeling off. So all what you see there, Sean, it's nothing but mud. But it's definitely dry mud. And you can see it's cracking. When fresh, it forms a very good black paste. But I'll not be surprised at one point, this Ellie will go look for a big solid tree. And she'll start like rubbing against the tree to get off this mud, and then maybe have a new coat. And they'll always do that just to make sure they keep cool. And sometimes you have the
Well, terribly sorry about whatever technical issues are happening that side. Fergus and I think, I'm pretty sure, I took a photo off the screen here, but we didn't have any signal, just in a little dip over there. But I'm pretty sure, and James has just messaged me back to say he thinks it's possible as well, we may have just seen our first Warburg's eagle of the season. But I suppose until we view it live, I don't win James's challenge. Well, I will share the photo if need be. It's not the best picture. Taking a photograph of the screen is not the best, I'm afraid, but very sort of small beak, didn't have the crest, a little bit of a white wing, which sometimes happens if they're molting or going through a bit of a feather change. I'm pretty sure that was a Warburg's. Sorry, we'll have to try and get in some signal. We are about to get to Buffelshoek Dam and see what is potting around there. You never know what we could find at the watering holes. You never know. Well, we know that we probably won't find a hippo, that's for sure. Old Scuba's gone, vacated for better premises. And after seeing the elephants here just the other day, and seeing how shallow it was, it's no surprise that there's no hippos inside this watering hole. But it'll be a lovely mud wallow for elephants. and rhinos. Well, before we get to the watching hole, it seems like Tristan might be losing visual of his beautiful cats, so let's quickly go over to him.
Well, yes, because not just that they are moving, but just because they are so obscured, it is very difficult to see little Columba, who's hiding behind a little log on this termite mound. Really is very difficult to see her. You only see her when she moves. If she just had to put her head down, you would drive past that in a heartbeat and move right away from it. Now, Thandi, we last saw her going down into an impossible area where it's just too steep to even remotely get close. But Tingana is sawing. I can hear him sawing down the drainage section back where we left him and closer towards Gallagher Pan. So they're all still around. It's just very difficult to actually see them. So what I was thinking of doing is, because we can hardly see Tlalamba and it seems as though this is where she's going to perch herself for the morning, I was thinking we might go back towards Tingana. If he's sawing, it's generally a sign that he's moving, and maybe he's going to be going somewhere and might lead us to, if there's food in this general... Oh, hello. Are you going to say hello to us? Are you peeking out behind the bush? She's very cute, isn't she? Hello, little one. What's she doing? Oh, she's looking around. She chased a francolin just now as well and almost got it, but too busy trying to catch up with Mom that she didn't show enough patience. But it's starting to see that she's getting a lot more active when it comes to hunting and going after various prey animals and trying to figure out where food is and how to get food. So it's a matter of time until we see her actually grab something, and you know, often you'll find them grabbing things like francolins or birds or lizards or something like that. So I'm looking forward to the first day that we see her actually graduating from a tiny little cub to, well, cub in practice in terms of hunting. But wasn't that cute with her head little just poking around that stump? She was watching us just now. It was very cool to see her. I'm just trying to look to see if maybe she's watching one of the other leopards that might be moving around. It's quite difficult terrain here to know where everybody is. I just know that Tingana is kind of where she's facing now, and the last time we saw Thandi was on the opposite side of this mound, and we went round the opposite side, but we couldn't see her or Mom, and so we decided to come back and sit this side. But I'm not sure if maybe Thandi might have left her and it just continued up the drainage and this is where she's going to be left for the day, or it could be that they're all just going to start resting now. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go try and see if I can find Tingana and see if he's moving about. We'll leave little Columba to rest behind her log, and while we do that, it seems like Scott is in the Mara and with, well, as many wildebeest as one could ever count.
Good idea, Tristan. I hope you get lucky with your plans for Tingana. As you can see, we have found a multitude of wildebeest and a few zebra and topi dotted amongst them. And as James pans across to the right, you'll get a good idea of the extent of this herd. There are thousands and thousands of them. And it's always quite exciting to come across these massive herds. There's so much movement that happens after dark, and I guess during the day when we're not in a certain area. But what I've noticed is that you can drive in one area on one day and see hardly anything, and the next day it can be full with migrating herds. We haven't had any joy on finding the sausage tree pride yet, but we've been enjoying surveying their area in the hope that we are going to get lucky. It's such a tricky area to search. There's not very many roads, far less than what you have down in Djuma. And I guess, I mean, obviously Djuma's a lot more thick than here, so it makes a lot more sense to have a lot of roads. But there are certain areas where we simply just cannot check. And even if we could, with all this long grass, unless your timing's right, the lions could be 20 meters off the road and you can drive past them. So there's all my long list of excuses. But I'm hoping, like I said a bit earlier, that we're going to spend as much time as possible this week with the Sausage Tree Pride so that we are ready for the final episode of the Gauntlet. And the reason why we need the Sausage Tree Pride is because they are Brent's characters, and he will be the live Mara feed for the final TV show. Aha! Celtic Warrior, you would like to know where all the cheetahs are, and we were just discussing the same thing this morning. We were saying it would be great to spend some time with a cheetah this morning. Again, just like the lions, they could well be here, just, you know, nobody's found them. Another big thing to factor into the equation, which is quite interesting at this time of the year, is that most tourists who come here are pretty focused on trying to see river crossings. Understandably, they're an incredible spectacle to behold, and that all happens along the river. So you find very, very few vehicles exploring away from the river. You'll find only if, like, we find a cheetah, for example, and the word spreads, people will come out and view it. But there's not many people that come out and search here. We haven't seen one vehicle this morning, and I can guarantee you that's not going to be the case along the Mara River. There's going to be lots of vehicles there. But yeah, I mean, I can't remember when last I got an update, Celtic Warrior, on any of the cheetah. The only kind of thing I know is that Naratoy and her boy have split up. They had been apart for about a week the last time I heard, and he had moved about 15 miles away from where they had split up. So whether they had split up due to, you know, him being ready to start life alone, or whether it was a kind of byproduct of the chaos of the migration, we're not too sure. But it'll be interesting to catch up with two of them, be it together or alone. Anne-Marie, you would like to know if we are in the height of the migration at the moment. I don't think so. I think there's still a lot more wildebeest that are hopefully going to come. Each year does vary, Anne-Marie, so you may find some years are kind of bumper years and some years are kind of less, what's the word I'm looking for, less numerous in terms of the migrating herds that make it here. But time will tell. What I can assure you though is that up till now we haven't really experienced the usual incredible numbers. Even though there's little kind of moments of joy, I think there's a lot more still to come. I'm hoping that's the case. I mean, this year, Anne-Marie, the migration arrived, was it a month or possibly even slightly longer than a month after, or compared to when the migrating herds arrived last year. Sorry, I'm just checking the road here for any tracks. Not much to see. Some hyenas and lots of wildebeest and zebra. So yeah, I mean, the migration was a lot later this year. Here's a funny scene. Love it when vultures do this. Oh no, it just kind of sat up. There's a vulture kind of perched on a little termite mound here, and it was lying down almost like a chicken incubating eggs. Well, I guess a vulture incubating eggs, they both would look quite similar. You find vultures all over the show at the moment. It's incredible. And I guess if I was a vulture that was filled with meat, I'd probably also sit on the ground, especially on a windy day like this. You don't have to worry about balancing in a tree. Sarah, you'd like to know if vultures would ever attack and kill an animal that's not yet dead. No. They probably wouldn't, but I would say that you've probably found situations where vultures have descended on an animal that could be very close to dying of its kind of own natural causes, not being killed by a predator, and you know, maybe they slowly kind of eat it alive. So I don't think they're like killing it, but through default, you know, you can imagine a poor animal just lying there on its last legs. And they often go for the eyes first, and the bigger vultures, like the leopard-faced vultures, could maybe possibly open up a really weak animal that's about to die, but ordinarily, no, they can't really attack anything. Very good. They certainly do fight amongst one another, though. And I always love watching vultures squabble over a carcass. Alrighty, well, tracking here in the Masai Mara is certainly no easy deal, and my little attempt of tracking along the road here has not proved to be hugely successful, but I'm hoping if you hop on Steve's vehicle down on Juma, he is going to possibly have a little bit more luck.
Well, we are trying. We are definitely trying, Scott. I've just found tracks of a male leopard. We're all the way on the west here, and it's really hard to show you because of the angle of the sun, but there's tracks here going south down Drakensberg Road, and I'm going to assume by the fact that Tingana has been seen on that side that this is probably Osana. He's probably gone to Buffelshoek Dam and now walking down this road. It was very quiet up there. Let's see if we can follow these for a little bit. He's walking in the road, which is something he hasn't been doing of late. He's been, as Tristan will tell you, Osana's been walking as difficult places as possible in and around all these thickets. Makes it very hard to track from a vehicle. At the moment, he's walking directly south in the road. Have a little look. Very good chance he's walked. I'm not going to say it's Osana. It's a male leopard. It's a male leopard. Brian, you want to know about drones and locating animals in nature reserves or government-run reserves? No, not allowed to. But in this private reserve, we've got permission from the landowner, and there's all sorts of permits and permission and things. That's okay. But anybody coming here with a drone? No, not allowed to. There's all sorts of regulations, and we are in contact with anti-poaching guys and all sorts of communication going on so that we don't interfere with anything that might happen with regards to aviation and the helicopters and anything that might go on. Ferg knows a lot more about that than me. Him and Seb went on drone courses, and it's quite intricate. You know, a lot of people out there are flying. See, Ferg's just giving you the salute there. There's a lot of people out there flying drones that haven't done courses, and it's quite an issue, isn't it, Ferg? Everyone seems to think they can just fly this thing, and apparently there's regulations. You can't be within like 2 kilometers of any public area. Is it 2 kilometers? 50 meters of any public area, and kilometers or so from airstrips, and there's a lot of regulations behind it. But here we are very controlled, very regulated, and lots of permission has been granted to do what we do. So all those boxes have been checked, and that's how and why we are able to track and find animals. It's been a big learning curve for us as well. Well, those tracks have gone into the block there. No doubt he's probably going to be walking all the way back towards Voetela Pan to go follow up on the other leopards. How would that be if we got Tingana, Hosana, Thandi and Kalamba together? Wouldn't that be an amazing family reunion? Well, anyway, we're going to see if we can find these tracks heading back west. In the meantime, let's go back all the way up to the Masai Mara with my favorite Kenyan, David Kitu.
Good luck, Stivovo. I'm sure you might get us one more spotted cat before we end the show. And I just stopped for another elephant, as much as we had seen a previous herd before, because if this particular boy will give us a chance and turn around, he got half a tail. His tail is cut, and it's missing a big bit, just like, did you hear me? Can you please keep turning and turning? Like the short tail of the triangle boys. And I've always asked myself, what happened? This is a very common scene I've been seeing in the Masai Mara, of having elephants with short tails or part of the tail missing. And I'm not sure to say this has been a mystery, because there have been all theories of the possible causes for that. And I remember I was talking to Raf the other day, or before he left, and I told him I think sometimes the elephants play or they fight and they cut the tails. And Raf told me, I don't think so. I think when these elephants are crossing the river, especially the Mara River, which is huge, when they're youngsters and is invested with crocodiles, the crocodiles try and catch them and cut the tails. And then there'll be no sort of a school of thought. Maybe it could be something genetical. I don't know. I'll be talking to, again, my seniors, the James Henry, and yeah, that's the tail I'm talking about. Brent Leo Smith, Jamie, yeah, that's the tail I'm talking about, and find out what causes this. Wesley, we do not have those huge tasks we used to have before. We had major issues of poaching way back, and like this one to me is a sizable big task by any standard. I'm looking at it about 4 or so feet in length, but way back we used to have even 8 feet long of tasks. Not anymore. I think genetical changes along the line, and also the elephants with huge tusks were very popular with the poachers, and they might have eliminated that particular lineage of ellis with huge tusks. Maybe not anymore, but there's an area called Savo East or Savo West National Park in Kenya. You could comfortably see ellis with almost 5-6 feet long tusks. Not sure in the Juma I can remember I saw those very long tusks, but what we have here on the screen, I would say they're pretty large by any standard. So request M and, Casti and Megan, the final control, if they get hold of James, maybe help explain the theory of the missing tusk. Richard, I'll tell you, we have game rangers both in South Africa and in East Africa who are doing a very, very good job. And they have surveillance day and night. You'll see them once in a while flying choppers up in the air, keeping their eyes on the ground. We'll see them in their Land Rovers or Suzukis or Land Cruisers doing patrols. We have, installed some thermal cameras which could pick any human movement in the wrong place who is not meant to be a guide like me or a guest. And I would say in this part of the Mara where we are, or in Kenya, I would say poaching has been brought almost to less than 3%, Richard. So I would say we are doing very well. Not as big problem that it used to be. And I think many people in the world now are passing the good word to the people who buy the tusks, to the people who will use them for carvings, be it the Orientals or whatever, whichever part of the world, to say, don't do this. What happens is, once you keep this market going, you are making poachers to kill more elephants, and that's not very healthy, because once the elephants are out of the ecosystem, Richard, it's going to be a concern. Yeah. Can you hear lions calling? Wow, I hope you had all that. And there's a Thompson gazelle moving in front of that lioness that was just calling. How beautiful is that, eh? And this lioness is not more than 100 meters from the elephant who've been watching, eh? And how beautiful this reminds me of the Garden of Eden. We'd have like the Thompson gazelle we saw there, the lioness we saw there, the Ailey we saw there. Everybody have his or her space. The Ellie busy eating. And in the background also, actually, I think we saw some toppies to the left of that lioness, which are also less than 100 meters from that lioness. But if you look, that one particular one, they're just watching her. So we got like 4 different species in less than 100, I would say, meter square. The toppies. The Thompson gazelle we saw passing around, the lioness there, the Ailey, and maybe I'll call Achi another species, another Homo sapiens with myself. And this is a great setting we are in right now. Hello, lioness. This is the Marsh Pride. I was expecting to see the Olololo Pride. I ended up with the Marsh Pride. Right, you're asking which animals are the most endangered in the Mara. I would say for me, hippos. Hippos for only one reason. We still got so many people around the Mara who will still come and fetch water in the rivers. And either early in the morning when they're coming to fetch the water is the time the hippos are coming back home or to their area in the water. And there's always a conflict. If that does not happen, we'll have hippos getting out of the water at night. And unfortunately, well, I wouldn't say unfortunately, we've got people who got farms around the Mara, on the edge, on the periphery of the Mara. And these hippos will go out and end up in people's farms. And the people will either have some, way of protecting themselves. So I'd say hippos to me at the moment have a big concern. Otherwise, the rest of the species of the animals are doing very well. All right, we'll move on and find out whether we're going to see the rest of the part of the marsh pride. We had that one lioness that was calling there. And please, if anybody would have an idea, as I said earlier, I request the final control to ask for me what happens to the tails of these ellies. Is it genetical? Do they play with each other and they cut it with the mouth? Is it when they were young, they were crossing the Mara River and the crocs got them? Could it be predation, either from lions or hyenas? I don't know, it could be anything, but still you can see through leaf flags. He's still trying to move it. Very good. We'll be waiting to hear what I gather on that answer. But in the meantime, let's find out what the spotted cats are doing.
Well, we're still sitting with Kalamba, and I'll tell you why. It's because we were going to go try see what Tingana was up to, but the squirrels have been alarm calling heavily just south of us, and so I thought maybe, just maybe, he was slowly ambling his way back up towards this area, and that we would see maybe them joining once again. But nothing has arrived as yet. The squirrels have now just stopped calling in the last few minutes, so I wonder if he maybe hasn't just laid down as well, much like little Kalamba is doing. You can see she's now having a bit of a rest, and I'm not surprised. She was a ball of energy this morning, bouncing around and running all over the show, and she had a big meeting with Dad this morning, and so it's really, hello little one, are you going to watch us from between the branches? There's the little eyes kind of closing as well. I think she's quite sleepy, to be honest. Tundi, I'm pretty sure, is also not far away. I think she's also sleeping pretty close. Has found herself a comfy bush to lie under, and I think this is where they're going to spend the majority of their day for now. Both of them have got fairly full bellies. I mean, they're not massive, but they both do look like they've had a bit of a meal. And so if there's no kill around here, then I think that they in all likelihood must have come off a kill now, and that's why they went to drink. But it just seems weird that they walked straight to where Tingana is, unless they heard him sawing, and that's what took them there. I didn't hear him saw this side this morning. He stopped sawing around kind of camp area because he walked through the camp and then kind of came this way. So it'd be interesting to know why they walked here. I mean, I thought there would be a kill just given the way that they walked, but you never ever know. And leopards might have a deeper communication than we just don't understand. Now, while we were sitting watching this little one, I was thinking of prey animals that they can hunt, and it'll lead me to a story that I'm going to tell you now. But before we get to that, MGM, have I ever seen oh, hello. What has just woken you up? How pretty is she? So, have I ever seen a leopard chase prey in treetops? Yes. I've seen leopards chasing things like squirrels up in trees, vervet monkeys, and catching them successfully. So they do from time to time, but there's not very much in a tree for them to hunt. Other than a few birds and monkeys and squirrels, there's very little else up there. It's not like there's substantial meals that sit in the trees for them, so you never really see them going after things too much. But I was talking about prey, yesterday afternoon while I was sitting in the tent, I got a message from one of our zoomies who was watching the camera and had a little mongoose running around. Now the little mongoose was doing its thing, and so Rocky, who sent me the video, asked me straight away that he didn't think this was a slender mongoose at all, and was it a yellow mongoose? Now, yellow mongoose is a common mongoose in South Africa, but not in these areas, in the more arid, dry parts of South Africa, and looks quite similar to a slender, except that it has no black tip to the tail and is a more yellow coloration, as opposed to that rusty color of a slender mongoose. And so, no, it wasn't a yellow mongoose, is the short answer to this, but the long answer is that it actually was a very special sighting, and I'll tell you why, because it is a Selous mongoose. Now, a Selous mongoose is very rare here. You do not see them very often. I've only personally seen one in the Sabi Sands, and I only know of probably about another 3 or 4 sightings of them. You do not see them often at all. They are a mongoose that is kind of a ghost in this area, and so to get one on the dam cam at 3:45 or whatever it was yesterday afternoon is pretty special. And so well done to the zoomies who spotted it. It's a very cool sighting and not something that we're going to see every day, that's for sure. I'm intrigued to see if it maybe does start to come to the pan more often, given that there's not really much else around in terms of water. Maybe it'll be a regular visitor to the pan. over the next few months. But really very, very cool. It can be likened, the Selous mongoose can be likened to that of the polecat, aardvark, pangolin, brown hyena kind of vibe. That's sort of what you think of when you think of one of those. They really are not common at all, and so it was a very cool thing to see. And I'll try and find a photo of it. I know there was quite a few photos posted of them, so I'm just trying to see if I can find one for you guys to show you what it actually looks like. If you just give me 2 seconds, I will find it pretty quickly. But they're a cute little mongoose, and like I say, pretty similar to a slender, except that, in fact, I've got the video that I was sent, which will be quite nice. So I'm just going to try and hopefully it will play. But let's just pause it there, and then Craig will be able to. So there was an impala. Let's just change it. But there's the little mongoose running around. Now you can see it's got a very similar build to a slender mongoose. It's got that kind of short body and very much mongoose shaped, but the legs are slightly longer on this individual, and the key diagnostic feature is here on this tail. You see that there's no black tip to the tail, so the tail itself is, sorry, it's going to jump around, but it's just like a highlight clip that was cut for me to see and have a look. But the tail itself has got a white, light kind of colored tip to it. There comes a vervet monkey, and so that for us is very much a Selous mongoose, which is very cool, isn't it? It's always nice to see different things. I think that probably is the first one on the dam cam. I would be very surprised if there's been any other Selous mongoose, and I don't think we've ever had one on live drive. I'm not sure if we have. Maybe some of you might remember seeing one, since we've had most things on our live drives, but I don't recall ever hearing of a Selous mongoose being seen. Now, the other rare mongoose that we do get here in the Sabi Sands is called a Meller's mongoose, and that looks like a white-tailed mongoose, except instead of a white tail, it's got a big black bushy tail, and you see them around, but they're also very rare. You don't see too many of them. There's one on Simambili and Elephant Plains that gets seen quite regularly, but other than that, don't see them too often. Right, now I think I've got comms problems. Craig is there we go. No, I've got them back, which is all good. Right, we're going to sit a little bit more with Kalamba. She's shot upright, and I wonder if maybe Tingana's not moving around. I'm going to keep just checking out and seeing, and while we sit and wait, let's send you back across to Scott, who it sounds like has searched and searched and searched and has now managed to find his lions.
Well, we finally got lucky, and we have found Kipuli, who is the big dominant male lion who oversees the Sausage Tree Pride. Now, for now, it doesn't appear like there's any other lions in the area, but in this long grass, maybe there are some others lying around here. He's very full-bellied. Looks like he's about to pop. Difficult to see from this angle, but means he's had a good meal last night, so I'm guessing he possibly had some assistance from some ladies. Now, in this area, it could either be the Sausage Tree Pride females that used to kind of frequent this area, until 3 lionesses that we're not too sure actually where they're from. They could be members of the Salt Lick Pride, until those 3 started spending time here and kind of caught the attention of not just this big male, but the other 2 males that kind of join him in his coalition, the 2 slightly younger males. So there's been an interesting shift that's happened, and I'm guessing that it's possibly still those 3 lionesses of the Salt Lick Pride that are in this area. We saw one of them here yesterday morning with the youngest male of this coalition. We've got quite a nice view here. We've managed to park in a slightly lower spot, and that's got us almost eye level with them. We're a little bit higher than we would like to be. It's kind of an eternal thing that we try and get right, is to try and get the lowest angle possible, because that gives you the most kind of realistic view of the animals. Now you can see his nose very distinctly, kind of the right nostril. His right nostril's got a little slit in it, and that's why he's got the name Kipuli, because Kipuli means nose ring. Very good. We're going to have a scratch around, see if we can't find any other lions in this area, and while we do that, we're going to send you across to Dave, who's found some more birds.
Well, there are lions and hopefully more lions. And we got a kingfisher now. And just landing there is another bird. But we have the pied kingfisher. The pied kingfisher. There's a little pool of water under where she is. and definitely she's waiting for any movement below her, and then she can either dive down and pick on a fish. We got so many kingfishers that are called kingfishers, but they don't eat fish. But this particular one, I would say 90% of its diet is mainly fish. Like the wound-blood kingfisher, for example, the mangrove kingfisher, or a few other types, species of kingfishers, do not eat fish. They'll be eating, insects, grasshoppers, crickets, bees, moths. But this particular one specializes on fish. Called pied kingfisher because of the black and the white in it. I've always thought kingfishers are beautiful birds, long beaks. Jojo, thank you very much for your comment. And you're saying hyenas bite them off when the ellies are young. Jojo, it's a possibility. I will not agree with that, and I'm so happy because earlier, you remember I was talking, Jojo, of predators either biting the ellies' tails when they're young, and I mentioned either hyenas or lions, or if you'd call a crocodile a predator, that is a possibility. So Jojo, thank you for your comment, and that's a great feedback, and it's very possible. I'd be more than happy to hear or get more comment on the same of how we end up with ellies missing their part of the trunks. As we go back to kingfisher, Indigo Girl, thank you very much. That's a great comment, and that's very possible because ellies, I'm sure you know, eat a lot of food and they drink a lot of food. A lot of water, and if they end up by the water, because they'll always go in the water and stop and drink while inside the river, that's another possibility. Indigo Girl, that croc would have possibly been able to cut. Sorry, there's the vehicle on our left there. Would possibly be able to cut the ellies' tail. So that's a very big possibility. Right, she's just patiently watching there and seeing if there could be any. Oops, there's a car that just started the engine there, and you can see the concentration on that kingfisher. Remember, sometimes I was in South Africa a couple of months ago, and they were debating how the kingfishers ended up with the names kingfishers, excuse me, and not queenfishers. And I would be happy again if we could tweet and say how that decision was made, kingfishers and not queenfishers. But I think Scott might be having another lion somewhere.
Yes, we did indeed find some more lions. We've repositioned so that you can see where Kapuli is, and as James begins to zoom out, we will reveal who else we have found. Ta-da! It is the youngest male of the Sausage Tree Pride Coalition, and Steve actually brought up a good point yesterday. All the other coalitions, that have kind of names, the Birmingham Boys, the Avoca Males down in South Africa, and then up here we've got the Musketeers, the Triangle Boys. But these guys don't really have a name yet, so we do have to start thinking about naming them, because it's a bit random that we call them the Sausage Tree Pride Males when that doesn't really add up. Interestingly, there's a fascinating kind of situation going on here. We believe this young boy and his older cousin to be born to the Sausage Tree Pride and then adopted into the coalition of Kipuli. And what's happened now is that since these three lionesses, of which one is lying in the grass here, have come into this area and started interacting with these males, we've noticed that they tend to like the youngest, smallest male the most. I was chatting with VM, one of the cameramen yesterday, and he remembers a scene when they saw this guy and they all went running up to him. They were so excited to see him, but aren't really interested by Kipuli and the slightly larger male, this guy's older cousin. So who knows what it is that this young guy is doing right, but he seems to have won the heart of the ladies. And if we take a close look now, it's quite funny at Kapuli to have Kapuli so far away, just kind of watching on from a distance, spying on this younger male who is evidently in the right kind of position with the ladies for the time being. Now, I'm not sure if this lioness is coming into season. Yesterday, whenever she got up, this young boy would kind of follow her, but she definitely wasn't allowing him to mate. But maybe she's coming into season, or we can maybe expect some mating in the next few days or weeks. Very good. Steve has found some lion food.
We have found some lion and leopard food, and we've come all the way back to Galagopan, because Tristan said he lost Tingana, and he said maybe he's come to Galagopan to hang out, and this is the kind of animal he would like to snack on, especially when most of the impala have moved off and there's just one little youngster hanging around trying to get a little bit of a drink. He's very thirsty. Born in November. And the new crop of impala males. They need to survive a good 3 more years or so, 4 years to become a breeding male, by which stage he would have proved his survivability and his genetics. There was a whole herd of animals coming down. Impala and Nyana were heading here, so we thought we might come around to the pan and get a good view. But it appears that that was the end of it. No, they're still coming, very slowly and very tentatively through the bush. Carol, I'm not sure. I mean, I believe it's dried up before. Did it dry up last year, Ferg? Buffelshoek?
I was in Kenya.
Ferg was in Kenya. I know Craig was telling me that he, I think it might have been last year, he was at Buffelshoek Dam, and they had a leopard tortoise sighting in the middle where it had dried up. So, I mean, the way it's going, without any rain, it is going to dry up. But I haven't been here long enough to tell you for sure. And here's some ravens above. We don't get too many of them around. There we go. Well, not going to get him very well. He's just going into the sun. White-necked raven calling. You probably can't hear him. I just heard him. I wonder what they're up to. Quite a voracious predator, also a scavenger, very well known to chase off predatory birds. And not so long ago we saw the first yellow-billed kite of the season. We weren't able to get him though. He's just flying, and off he went. They are migratory this time of year. They do stay resident in sort of the eastern parts of South Africa during the whole year, but migratory through Africa, coming in for food. And I think we saw the first one. Very excited about that. It shows that summer is on the way. Well, there are still more impala coming through, but they're very tentative. There were tracks of Tingana in and around here from this morning, from last night. Sorry, Ferg. There we have got a golden-breasted bunting coming down to drink. A very beautiful bird. Off he goes. Seed eater. Those seed-eating birds need to drink. There's lots and lots of... When you eat a lot of seeds, you know how thirsty your mouth gets. That's why they serve nuts at bars, because it makes you drink more. Very, very clever strategy. Well, anyway, those animals seem to be very tentative about coming down to drink. We're going to move off and see if we can pick up any more sign of the Duke. He definitely was here this morning. We heard him as we started up this morning. Fern, I could definitely drink that water. I don't think it's very, very dirty. But you do get a little bit of a... You need to work on a bit of a stomach. I've got quite a strong stomach. I know my brother, he lives in the UK, and when he comes back to South Africa, he has to drink bottled water because he gets sick. His stomach isn't adjusted anymore to the water. I think my tummy's quite strong. You know, maybe if we filtered it, but you could filter it just through a sock. It would probably be okay. Sand filtering works quite well. I don't think too many animals defecate in this one, and there's no hippos in there, so I think it's very, very drinkable if need be. I think there's definitely worse things out there. But you do definitely develop a bit of a digestive ability to have certain fluids. And as I said, my brother and I, from the same stock, he can't stomach the water in South Africa anymore. He gets quite sick. His first week when he gets here, he doesn't feel very good. So that just takes a little bit of, you just need to get the enzymes working in the tummy. So a lot of people, if you're familiar with drinking filtered water and you come to South Africa for the first time, think about it. You might have a few days you don't feel too good. Don't worry, I won't be drinking the water today. Well, we've caught up with that herd of impala. Ooh, there's a scimitar bull just above them, Ferg. Can you see him? Common scimitar bull. There he goes. Not a green wood hoopoo. Very similar. They're a little bit smaller than the green wood hoopoo, but sorry about the crested francolins shouting off to the side here. They don't realize that I'm trying to talk to you all about another bird. They want part of the show. And you can see his beak is black. Got that long tail with the white bars underneath, but the black, very recurved beak. Off he goes. So a prober as well. He likes to stick the beak into the bark looking for insects and all sorts of things in and around. James, the birds, the migratory birds that I love seeing. Well, first of all, yesterday I went to Hoedspruit and I actually saw a red-chested cuckoo. Now, I don't think the red-chested cuckoos are back yet, but I think because the breeding went on quite long this year, that there's a few cuckoos that have stayed. They didn't leave. Some youngsters that fledged and came out of the nest. Red-chested cuckoos are known to parasitize on fork-tailed drongos, and it's possible that what I saw yesterday, I definitely saw a red-chested cuckoo, but it wasn't calling. We haven't heard them calling. I love seeing cuckoos. Cuckoos for me just make me think of summer, but I saw one yesterday. It was quite exciting. But I love seeing the European roller when they come back. I enjoy the woodland kingfisher. They are quite special to see for the first week, and then the noise just becomes a little bit too much, as anyone who's lived out here can probably attest to. But one bird that I haven't seen in this area, but I quite enjoy when they return to South Africa, is the broad-billed roller. They are always something that I'm quite fond of seeing. I've only seen them up in the north of the Kruger National Park, and they are a very, very cool bird. Another bird species that migrates in, the carmine bee-eaters. They're always quite special. Ferg is agreeing with me. He likes seeing the carmines. They're such beautiful in color. So the migrants, we're going to start doing all sorts of migrant discussions in the next little while. As the seasons change, you'll notice that the topic of discussion starts becoming all about the birds. The birds kind of lose a little bit of focus during our winter months. And now the impala are all moving off to the watering hole. Should we go back, Ferg? Nah, we'll keep going this way. Leave them to their water. They were a little bit scared or skittish when we were watching the last little herd. Okay, well, let's keep going. See if we can pick up on any tracks of the Duke. And while we do that, let's go to Tristan with a very sleepy little princess.
I do indeed. She's just tucked away in the grass there. She's kind of got her head up every now and then listening to what's going on, but otherwise is as camouflaged as could be. I mean, if she wasn't in that little gap in the grass, we would never be able to see her. Her head is completely melted away in that vegetation, and it just goes to show how effective those rosettes can be at hiding them in plain sight. You would think, if you drove past there, it would be a stretch to kind of see that very easily. I mean, the tummy is giving her away a little bit because it's quite light. If she puts her legs underneath there and had to sit with her head down, it would be a lot more difficult. But she spread herself out now, her tail's kind of stretched out, and so she's just going to have a really good nap. Now, hopefully this will mean that we find them this afternoon in the same place. It sounds like to me, with the squirrel's alarm calling, that Tundi is not far from here. She's just on the northern side of where we are, and there's an island that basically develops just there. So there's a drainage line that runs off to the left up there, and then a drainage line that comes this way, and so this section here is almost an island that you can't get onto. And the last time I saw her, she was kind of moving moving up towards this fallen over tree and somewhere into that thicket. So I think she's lying somewhere in that area. Whether or not we'll be able to find her, I'm not quite sure, but that's kind of roughly where she is. Hopefully, like I say, that they spend their day here and they are relaxed in this area, and maybe there will be a kill somewhere, and where whoever comes here this afternoon, hopefully we'll be able to find it and see where it is going. I think this afternoon I might go and have a little look for Hosanna, because, well, we haven't seen him for a few drives, and I want to go and find out what he's been up to and where he is. Maybe he's somewhere behind the dam wall, so we'll go looking for him as well. But Tingana doesn't sound like he's moving too much more. The squirrels have stopped calling now, so I don't know if he's maybe found a nice place to rest as well after a busy morning, I suppose, with all of them. Tingana was busy last night. He obviously came to Gallagher Pan calling, then Steve found him, and then he went to the main, to Vuyatela, little pump pan, and then from there he went off and seemed to have done a massive territorial patrol, because I'm pretty sure the tracks that Steve had on Drakensberg are for him, going all the way that side, coming around, because when he came back this morning, he came from the south, so he came from, it sounded like Philemon's Cutline area, so it seems as though he did a massive patrol of Djuma, and then walked all the way to this section here. So I'm not surprised he's tired. And, well, we know with Tandi and Kalamba, they also tend to walk quite a bit as well. So who knows where they came from last night. But there we go, she's got her head up now, just kind of staring in that direction. She's such a cute little leopard. It's been so nice to spend time with her this morning. It's been a long time since I've just kind of done babysitting watch with Kalamba, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it this morning. Kaz, yes, I do. I mean, I do have a favorite leopard, and but it's difficult for me because males and females I almost have to put into two separate kind of categories, because they kind of have a different way about them. And so Tandi is my favorite female that we see for sure. Just like how feisty she can be, but she's also an incredibly good mother, so I quite enjoy the kind of balance that she has of being feisty but also being very good at raising her offspring and allowing her offspring to survive. And then in terms of the males, Tamba is my favorite male. He's such a cool little leopard, and I wish we saw more of him. But Hosanna is right up there as well, let's be honest. I mean, he's such a legend of a little cat. He kind of does his thing, and is very difficult not to have Hosanna in your top kind of leopard favorites. And it's amazing because I've had a lot of friends that have come to Djuma over the course of the last few years, and a lot of people that I know professionally that have spent a lot of time here, and it's so interesting to talk to them because they come here and, you know, leopard is a leopard for a lot of people, and many of the guides have seen leopards in every reserve, and every single one that kind of ends up having sightings of Hosanna walks away saying what a special little cat he is. So, you know, he's up there as well. But Tamba is still, there's just something about Tamba, I don't know, I've just always thoroughly enjoyed spending time with him, and I find him photographically absolutely beautiful. He's got these incredible eyes and just this kind of perfect face still, and I'm intrigued to see what he's going to look like as a dominant big male. I think he's going to be quite something, so it'll be nice to see. I mean, Hosanna and Tamba, these two youngsters that are going to be around, and wherever they end up, whatever happens with them, I really do hope that it's somewhere where we can either follow them or at least get regular updates on them, that we know where they are and see their progression into adult life. Much like this little one, it's also going to be nice. She's a serious little cutie, this little female as well. I quite enjoy her, and she's so feisty that it makes me laugh when I spend time with her. Right, well, she's up and down and head up, head down, and so I think she's just kind of looking around and being youthful, and so we're going to stay with her probably till the end of the drive. And while we do that, let's send you across to David, who has been following or found something that Tandi might not want to hunt, but Tingana definitely would like.
Leopards love warthogs too. I have seen Hukumuri being a very good killer for warthogs. And again, from elephants' missing tails, we got a pig here with a missing tail. Initially, we saw an elephant having lots of mud on the forehead, and also this pig here got a lot of mud on its hindquarters. But just like the very last elephant, the bull we saw with half a tail, this one doesn't even have a quarter. It's missing everything. Again, all the theories will come in now, what might have happened, but this I would very strongly believe it could be a predator. I would be more convinced of a predator than anything else. And if you look at her carefully, when she's eating, she's like kneeling down, and that way it gets better leverage to be able to use. It is tasked to dig in the mouth to get food. So it has, the neck muscles tend to do a better job, or, as I said, better leverage for it to reach the ground and get uprooting either the tubers or the root from the grass. Many people have always said warthogs have to kneel down to pray before they eat. But the whole idea is not them having short necks, but it gives them a better angle to be able to reach what they're feeding on. And they can either dig it out. Might be one hungry warthog. So the brown fur on top there, still a youngster, still growing, and I would say it must have survived from whatever cut its tail. Sorry, missed that question again. Bring it again, sorry. Still eating there. Sorry, missed that question as we go back to turn around a little bit here. Grace, good question. As I turn around to show you a Tommy, 1 minute there, Archie. And Grace, you're asking, is there a limit of how many cars can be in the Mara? There is no limit. There's no limit. It depends on the number of visitors in a particular time. So Grace, just to answer your question straight, there is no limit of how many people can be in the Mara. I would also assume, depending on the accommodation that is available here, if the camps are all full, then that will be it. But the number of people out on a game drive, Grace, like watching the beautiful Thompson gazelle there is no limit. What they're trying to do now is to limit the number of vehicles or cars around a high-profile sighting. High-profile sighting, Grace, I'm talking about, say, lions, or cheetahs, or rhinos, or leopards. So they're trying to limit the number of people. So we'll have the game rangers packed close to the sighting, and they'll control the number of the cars at that particular sighting. I'm not sure this particular male Thompson gazelle is trying to mark this territory. They'll always have an orbital gland right below the eye. So they'll scratch a stick and leave some scent and make sure other males know he's in charge. The Tommies, both males and females, will have the horns, but the males have a little larger in size than the females, and that definitely is a boy. And the other one there is a boy too, and in the background we have an impala. It's all mixed, two different species here, impalas and Tommies. And it's just good time to eat with the cool temperatures. The wind is not as strong as I would have expected it to be this time around. Little scratch on that one there. Could be a tick in that area or a mite. Another scratch on the back on that Thompson gazelle. Very good.
Sorry about that, technical issues. We're going to see if we can get this bird in shot. Unfortunately, the sun is behind it. Now we're moving. There we go, Ferg. Is that going to work for you? Just up here on the right hand side. I thought I saw a yellow-billed kite. Off it goes. Yellow-billed kite before, but I think in fact it might be a black kite. He's obviously not going to perform for us. Sorry, Ferg, it's not the best visual now. Sorry about that, folks. It was circling nicely for us a moment ago, but it was right with the sun behind. Black kite, possibly. Yellow-billed kite's got a very forked tail. And the way that they fly almost like flying a kite, hence the name. And they're constantly doing this with their tail for sort of movement. And the black kite has only got a bit of yellow on the tip of the beak, where the yellow bill obviously got a full beak. It's yellow. Both migratory to the area. But non-breeding, the black kite doesn't breed here. That would have been cool, but we need to get it on shot. Al Almoor, I haven't seen or heard a monotonous lark here. I suppose you have seen them here before. I know other parts in South Africa, in the Kruger and north up in Botswana, I've seen them. I don't know. I have no idea why. So Ferg is saying, yeah, you had them here when he first joined. I really don't know. Maybe Tristan or James would know better than myself. I don't really know. The first time I saw them, I was in Mashatu, so southern Botswana. They're very, very popular up there, and I haven't really seen them in the Kruger, so I have to do some reading about that. But it's possibly a seasonal thing. It might be a drought thing. It might be an abundance thing. I don't know what causes them to come and go, and why they would be here one year and not the other. Very interesting. One thing I do know is that if you hear them, you will know. They just don't stop. I'll play it for you. I'll play it. No, Ferg says no. He doesn't want to hear it. Ferg does. Let me quickly find it for you. There are lots of larks. Lots and lots and lots of larks. I'm going to play it for you. Let's have a little listen, shall we? And hopefully that kite will come back so we can prove. You hear that? And it goes on and on and on, hence the name monotonous. So I'll have a little look here quickly, the monotonous lark distribution. So, I mean, if you have a look at the map here, they do occur in the Kruger, sort of, oh, sorry, but they're kind of more to the north. They do occur here, and it shows that they're permanent. So why they're not here at the moment and why we don't hear them, very hard to say. Anyway. Well, we're going to keep moving on around the corner here. Last attempt to see if Tingana or maybe even Hosana pops out of the woodwork. The viewers all think it's annoying. Well, when you first hear it, it's very cool, but it goes on and on and on and on, and it's never annoyed me. Not like the woodland kingfishers get to that stage of non-stop, because they are the first ones to call in the morning, the woodlands, and they make a lot of noise. Morning alarm clock. Talking about morning alarm clock, here we've got two of them just crossing the road in front of us. These are the crested Franklin that are indeed here all the time and make lots and lots of noise. Very reliable for helping us to find predators, especially the leopard kind. They're quite relaxed, so I'm seemingly going to assume there's no pending leopard around. Anyway, we're going to head back up towards Voyatelapan, because we know that that is a very popular haunt for both of those two gentlemen. Myself having left Tingana there last night. Tristan is a little bit worried that the lions might have chased Hosana the day before when they were calling, because he was kind of around this area the night before. And I think this is the longest stint in over a month without us seeing him. So hopefully he'll materialize. This afternoon we might find some tracks, but we have definitely had a leopard-filled morning. But it's unlike the little chief to not try and jump out of the woodwork towards the end. Who knows? Maybe in the next few moments we will get a last-minute leopard. This does happen. Yes, he is. Hosana's probably waiting for the finale of our 5-series TV show, which is coming up in a few days' time. Well, it has been a very nice morning. This summer feels like it is here. August is going to cause us to put away our warm jackets, probably just to pull them out again. It's what happens, is what Ferg and I discussed the other day. You get these warm days and then suddenly it gets cold again, and 2 days ago it was very cold. But that is the way it works. So here we're going to finish the show talking about this tree up on the left-hand side, which has got that lovely old Wahlberg's nest in the top, and we're hoping to get these guys back soon. Not sure if we saw Wahlberg's this morning. We'll have to double check. It might have been a booted eagle, but anyway, I haven't won the challenge yet because we haven't put the Wahlberg's on camera. So James, I still haven't defeated him in the Wahlberg's challenge, but thank you everybody. Thanks to Tristan for spending all that time with those cats, and to David and Scott, thank you guys for all the feedback and comments. Thank you. We will see you again this afternoon. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.